You're listening to Behind the Mic with AudioFile magazine. I'm Joe Reed. I have Michele Cobb with me. Hello, Michele.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm good, although
Oh,
I'm about to be uncomfortable, right? Because that's our theme this week, discomfort.
okay. Who is being discomforted today?
Colored Television by Danzy Senna, read by Kristen Ariza.
Okay, well, Danzy Senna is certainly a very well-known writer, a very, very well-received writer, very interesting writer who happens to be married to another really interesting writer, Percival Everett.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I did read an article after I listened to this about the two of them being this like power writing couple. Very cool.
Yeah, they sure are. Okay, tell me about this one.
So, our main character is Jane. She is a professor who's actually attempting to get tenure. So, she takes a sabbatical to finish her book, and she and her family are living in a friend's house in this kind of rarefied universe of Los Angeles. And when the book does not get the response she wants, she actually turns her attention to trying to write a television show with a focus on the mulatto perspective. Talk about discomfort.
Does she actually use the word mulatto?
She does.
Oh my
It's
God.
the
Very
the sort of
19th century.
yeah, it's the theme of her book. We often use biracial today, but that's the word that is pulled out over and over again.
Wow. Well, Danzy Senna writes a lot about mixed race life in,
Yes,
in the United States.
exactly. And that's why I think the character of Jane is so well filled out in many ways. I mean,
Hmm.
she is dealing with expectation is what the word I would use. So her expectation of her partner, her husband's expectation of her expectation of her kids, her expectation of her life as it should be and her success, and the expectation that the world around us puts on us based on how we look and what our profession is, and the expectations we put on ourselves.
So quite complicated.
It is, because you've got race, you've got class, you've got the creation of art all wrapped into this thoughtful and frankly funny novel that I found particularly relatable sort of as a Gen Xer in
Mhm.
that I'm trying to find that success and what does that mean and who set that up for me and what does society put on me. So I really sort of dug the book in that way where I felt some just of myself in the character on some level.
And you also have a family.
It's true, yes.
Yeah. And I want to hear about Kristen.
Oh, she was great. I mean, there's a lot to keep on top of because the protagonist has to be funny. And oftentimes I found the character is a bit unlikable in some ways,
Mm.
but because of the narration, I still liked her. I related to her. And she was often weary, which I think is hard to do as a narrator, to engage and keep the listener going and at the same time sound overwhelmed and tired and have had enough. you
Yeah,
know
no, that is hard. The other thing that I think is really hard is bored, of sounding bored without sounding
Yes,
boring, without being
without
bored.
being boring. Yeah, good point.
It's really hard. Why don't we hear a little bit of her?
This is Jane looking for answers about her son's issue.
Okay. This is Colored Television by Danzy Senna, and it's read by Kristen Ariza.
The flowers could fool you in the daytime. They could make you believe you weren't floating in outer space. But at night, you knew. The brightness of the sky stared back at her now, unrelenting. Neither she nor Finn were wearing sunblock. But could she stop pushing him? Finn was most calm when he was swinging or jumping. This was, according to the doctors, a symptom of the problem. The pediatrician they met with last spring, that terrible spring, had told her she needed to face the elephant in the room. She would have preferred a less hackneyed metaphor, but she had to take what she could get these days. Jane had accepted his referral and called the special clinic, which, astoundingly, had no openings for many weeks. Apparently, she wasn't the only parent trying to get some answers here. She would have to wait in line to learn what her son was exactly, who he was. She would have to wait to learn what they would become.
She has such a strong, clear voice with really great pacing. She makes me want to listen.
Exactly.
And okay, it's also a very mysterious section. What's the elephant in the room?
Well, okay,
Okay, you're not
gotta
gonna tell
listen to the
me.
whole thing. I,
Don't
I I always hate giving plot points.
Okay, don't give a plot point.
I'll give this away. So, he has a whole alien kind of perspective on life, and that's kind of fun.
And that is Colored Television by Danzy Senna, read by Kristen Ariza. Thank you so much. We're halfway through the week, a little bit more.
Oh my goodness,
I
yes.
know.
Wednesday. Woohoo.
Support from Dreamscape, an award-winning audiobook publisher, brings you today's episode of Behind the Mic. Dreamscape's catalog includes authors such as L.J. Shen, Frida McFadden, and Annie Ernaux. I'm Jo Reed. I'll talk to you tomorrow.